you like your standards high and your growth even faster, pull up a chair because this is the DASHcast podcast. I'm Derrick Taylor, and welcome to another session of a conversation that we're going to be having today with none other than Garrett Daly, the owner and operator of HouseMasters. He's going to tell us about what to look for and the ins and outs of a home inspection. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Derrick.
So glad you could make it. Weather outside is horrible, but it's a good day to show houses, right?
It's all that matters.
So I want to start this off with, what are the three things that a real estate agent should know right off the bat from a home inspection?
From a home inspection standpoint, I think that they should know what is a home inspection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Basically, that is a visual, non-invasive evaluation of a house.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, because then it gets it to where, what are we going to be doing, with that, and how's this going to start? Also, the limitations,
Mm-hmm.
from a home inspection, saying, of course, a home inspector, we can't move furniture, we can't see inside the walls, we can't turn off certain valves.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of, for what they know, and they can pass on this information
Mm-hmm.
to their client. And then also, what other services besides the home inspection should that they be having? What kind of house are they on? Septic? Are they on well?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we need a pest inspection, we need a radon test, and so forth, just to make it as knowledgeable to the client so that they're as informed as possible.
So pretty much educating them as much as possible without stepping over the line as to what it is that they should be getting and looking for when looking for a home.
Yeah, it's trying to set this up,
Right.
of what is a home inspection. And from that, with the clients and stuff, I always kind of tell people think that they like surprises.
Mhm.
Okay. People are like, oh, surprise birthday and so forth.
Right.
But really, nobody likes surprises.
No.
Nobody likes
Not
it,
at all.
unless we're...
It's a horror.
It is. Unless we're a little kid, it's like, oh, surprise.
Right.
But we don't, with that, it has to be to where, setting up the expectations,
Mhm.
Especially from a first-time home buyer standpoint.
I was going to bring that up because one of the things that we hear a lot, or we get a lot from our clients, especially if they're a first-time home buyer, they have this belief that a home inspection is either going to be a pass or a fail. So how do you suggest we go about letting them know it's not like that?
I think hearing it multiple times, okay?
Mhm.
And that's awesome if y'all are saying that, because from our standpoint, how we train our people and my inspectors, that's one of the things that we're going to sit there and tell the client every time. So we actually have a book that, that they get. It's an inspection resource guide. And one of
Okay.
the first pages is, a home inspection is not a pass-fail test. It's
Right.
a picture of time of us coming out, taking the evaluation and doing the inspection,
Mhm.
and then giving them, making them as informed as possible. So I always kind of joke. I'm like, we're not coming in giving a big check mark,
Mhm.
if everything passes, or if I give a big X, then the bulldozer comes and bulldozes the house.
Right.
It's not how this operates.
Right.
It's just the evaluation at this day and time.
So, I mean, we could go down a lot of avenues with this conversation because we could talk specifics about specific things.
Mhm.
And I mean, we could have a whole dialogue. I guess I want to get more of a general understanding of what the home inspection entails,
Okay.
depending on the type of house, what agents should look for,
Mm-hmm.
what they can and should not tell their clients, when are they stepping over the line?
Okay. So let's take first one. So first one was...
What an inspection entails.
Okay. So, what I typically tell our clients, I tell agents.
Mm-hmm.
So what a home inspection is a visual, non-invasive inspection or evaluation of all the major systems.
Mm-hmm.
So from a home inspection standpoint, we're going to be taking a look at the roof, the exterior, your major systems, the HVAC, the plumbing, the electrical,
Mm-hmm.
also coming in inside the house, checking their built-in appliances,
Mm-hmm.
the walls, the ceilings, the floors, and then all the outlets and windows that we can get to.
Mm-hmm.
Typically what it takes is a home inspection is going to be about 2 to 3 hours on your
Mhm.
typical home. We'll take a bunch of pictures, we'll get over the report, then we send the report to them. So that's kind of what the nitty gritty of what a home inspection is.
Mhm.
Also, what I tell clients is what we're looking for is any signs of damage, water intrusion concerns,
Mhm.
lack of maintenance, future maintenance issues, things not functioning as intended.
Mhm.
And that's where it goes. Like we don't pay too much attention as far as like cosmetics. Like a lot of clients might think, hey, they're gonna be looking at maybe a couple, like the paint's a little bit blemished here, maybe a little nail polish,
Right.
back and forth. No, it's the bones and the structure of the house. Like we might, for new construction, point out a couple more cosmetic, but typically it's bones and structure.
Do you find it difficult, or a new home, new construction versus a resale home? Do you find the inspections to be somewhat easier?
Can be. It has its different set of I guess things that could happen or limitations, so let's take a new home. So a new home, typically, of course, it's been inspected by the county. So most of the time, like, it's not going to be anything kind of crazy, anything big. However, you can. People, these are built by humans, and also a human, like the county inspector, they're coming in, taking a look. So you have that human factor coming in.
Right.
But typically, a new construction isn't going to take as long. Now, what kind of new construction, what kind of limitations or issues could kind of arise? We could have, are the cleaners there, or that they're on our way? Are there different contractors? Are they sitting there doing the paint? Are there people and other agents showing that particular house, because it's a model house for another one? So those are kind of like our outside influences you're going to kind of have back and forth.
What's your feeling on those clients who say, oh, it's new construction, I don't need an independent inspection on it? I trust the builder.
So what it is, I always kind of bring up, like I said, right before, is it's the human factor. So you're trusting that a human who comes in and builds his house that is expected or inspected by another human, that they're getting everything.
Right.
Wouldn't you want another set of eyes to take a look on the inspection to advocate on your behalf on the biggest purchase of your lifetime? Of course, average home inspections, $400 to $500.
Right.
If you're spending $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 plus, wouldn't you want to make sure what you're getting and what you're paying for is right there and everything's in line?
It's a no-brainer.
It is. Right. And the things that we found, I mean, most of the time, like they're the same things, whether it's going to be a couple issues, lifted shingles on the roof, maybe a leaky faucet, maybe a couple electrical like outlets kind of loose and stuff. We're going to see like the same stuff. But I mean, I remember one new construction one time out in Wake Forest. It was $1 million house. Is right after COVID was happening. They sealed the crawl space wrong. And so when I go up in the crawl space, I told them in the pre-drywall inspection, because it's going to be a sealed crawl space, that they're doing it wrong. You need to get ahead of this. They didn't listen. And then when it comes down for my final, they had nothing. They had a bunch of mold, fungal growth, wood destroying fungus. So thousands of dollars worth of damage that happened. And that was a new construction home.
Wow.
So
interesting. Do you ever find that in the crawl space area, that there are some crawl spaces that not necessarily would pass the test, but that are absolutely fine, and then the client moves in and it's a disaster? Like, do you think that it was something that you could have found or you should have found, or is it just something with crawl spaces that they go haywire?
They can, and it usually doesn't happen like very quickly. Like it usually can kind of happen over time. But when people move in, it's their environment. Okay, how are they living in the house? What kind of improvements that they've done or change and alterations to the house and the landscape? So, for instance, with the crawl spaces, a lot of your gutters and your downspouts, like the drainage that comes in. Okay, so say the homeowner comes in and they want to build up like these flower gardens. In the midst of it, they make the grading towards the house. It's bringing the water and the moisture towards the house. Right. Or say they don't clean the gutters like how the previous owner did. Right. Clogs up, water comes back. Yeah. So that can exacerbate the issue of making that moisture level in the crawl space up. Right. Deals with mold, fungal growth, and then therefore that can kind of alter it. And, also their HVAC system. Right. How are they running it? Is it, have they not serviced it? So then the humidity level in the house, interior of the house, is higher. Then that can also affect the crawl space.
Based off of an inspection standpoint, with new construction, is there anything that you see builders doing that you really wish they would change? say, for instance, the air handler in the attic, the washer dryer on the second floor without a pan. Like,
Yeah.
are there things like that that you?
And so things that I would change, definitely like the water heater. Okay. And really the water heater up in the attic area, they still do this. Like they put them up in the attic and it's to code and stuff like that. Now, just me personally, I mean, you bring water all the way up. If something happens, it's coming down. It's coming down. Right. So from a personal issue, I'd like it down the main level, maybe in the crawl space, or even the best space or place is going to be the garage, because you're seeing it. Like you don't really go in the crawl space when you're an owner, but you can see if something's happening. Right. So definitely I do the water heater. I like the washer dryer, you know, having a pan up underneath is a good practice. Let's see here. Me being selfish. Okay. Well, you know, what I would like is, I'm sure you've seen me testing the GFCI outlets. You know how I have to push the little button and then I run back and I have to hit the reset button. So in the bathrooms, you have one outlet that controls all the bathrooms. Well, let's take a 3-level house. Now, for some reason, and I think it's the plumber, or not the plumber, the electrician that's kind of laughing at this. He'll put that reset button all the way down in that bathroom in the basement.
That works the 3rd floor.
So it works the 3rd floor. So it gets, you know, I mean, I need to kind of hit the gym a little, you know, so I'm running up and down. Yeah. If they had one on each level from an inspector standpoint, my knees would like that. I'm sure my knees would like it. I'd like the reset button to be a little closer.
Right.
So
burning question that people always ask: is it better to have a house with a crawl space, or is it better to have a house that's on a slab?
Great question. So I bought a house that has a slab, and people kind of laugh, and they kind of ask me back and forth, like, well, why did you do that? I crawl in the nastiest, tightest, dirtiest crawl spaces all the time. I do not want to go in my own house and have to go under that kind of crawl space. Right. Now, from a customer kind of standpoint, you know, people will say, well, if it's on slab, what if I have an issue? Okay, you have an issue down and you have to, you know, possibly drill through, mess up the flooring, and drill through to fix the piping in the slab. Several $1,000s, okay, to do this. And so that's the argument that people who like crawl spaces. Now I'm going to flip it with you, is in the crawl space, if you have high levels of moisture, mold, you have to seal the crawl space, that's thousands of dollars of like for issues. So really, which one
critters
do you want? Critters, yeah. we could go off on that one.
I mean, I try not to give my opinion when I'm with a client, but personally, I'd much rather have a house that's on a slab.
They're easy.
And your floors don't creak.
No. Yeah. The floors don't creak. There's nothing up underneath, especially the older ones, sometimes some mice and stuff. I've lived on a slab a long time, and I think they're pretty easy.
So what's the deal with you and your team not being able to turn on electrical outlets or breakers or light the hot water heater?
The hot water heater, all the valves?
What's that about?
So the state of North Carolina dictates that if a valve or a breaker or something is turned off, let's say the pilot light for the fireplace, if it is turned off, it is turned off for a reason. So then if the home inspector then turns it on, so even with the permission, that means that we are taking on all of the liability. Okay. Now we have, you know, from us standpoint, from my company, we carry way over the top insurance. But if we turn on a valve and we cause damage to the house, and then my insurance company says, well, how did that happen? And if I first say, well, we turned on the valve, their response is going to be, state of North Carolina tells you not to turn on the valve. Why did you turn on the valve? Now you have that. I know it's an easy kind of thing, right? But you never know the reason why. Most of the time, the place is vacant and so forth. Now, if we get permission, sometimes it's a gray area. Sometimes I'll do, you know, here and there. But typically, if it's off for a reason. We need somebody to turn it on.
So from the scope of items that you don't have on your checklist that you can check or that you can view and see how they're working, what are some of those things that you can't or don't look at? Example, fireplace.
So we'll look at the fireplace, but the gas valve is off for like a gas fireplace. I can't test it. Right. So I can't light the pilot, you know, you can't light pilot lights and so forth. So if it's not on, I can't look at it. A couple of things also, that aren't part of the scope of a home inspection, for instance, is the refrigerator and the washer dryer. Those are considered personal property. From a home inspector standpoint, we look to see, is it leaking? Is it leaking water? How's the line? Has it caused damage to the adjacent elements? But we don't test to see what's the water quality. Is it making good ice? The washer, I don't run my clothes, even though, I could put my crawl space clothes in there. I think they would be nice. I could dry some things. I could multitask. But we just,
And Garrett, I have a client who just bought this house, and there's a shed in the back, and they're turning it into a she shed. It already has electric, and they're thinking about putting a sink in, but it's not on the inspection report. What happened?
So also for a home inspection, and this is per the state of North Carolina, the home inspection is for the dwelling only, the main dwelling. Any other outbuildings, and it's in the contract to say, that the client signed the agreement, and it's also in the scope standards of practice in North Carolina, that all adjacent buildings are not part of the big home inspection. Now, from us, if the client would like, we can take an evaluation inspection of those other outbuildings, but it's an additional.
Okay. Is there a checklist of things, and I'm asking this question for new agents basically, that they could review or go over, of things that they can look for before the inspection, or things that they should not talk about with their client?
So we'll take for what are some things that they should do? Like when they're kind of showing, and like we were talking about, surprises.
Right.
When I'm talking to a client, and when I'm talking to especially a newer agent, and I'm pointing out things of issues and concerns of the house, things are actually pretty visible, right, that you can see. And I start to get this deer of headlights kind of look, and in my mind, I'm like, this is right here. Like you don't have to be an inspector to see this. Like it's right there. It's gonna hit you. Brown. It's gonna hit you right there.
Right.
But I'm like, okay. And then it's, the deer headlights. And now what we have to do is we have to kind of back up on the explaining of, okay, well, here's what's kind of going on. So what are some things from a new agent to kind of look at? Take a look at the roof. What is the condition? Do you see, it's pretty easy. Can you see lifted shingles? Do you see damaged shingles? How does the roof compare to maybe the neighbor's roof? Kind of use these kind of comparisons just to kind of guide. I'm not telling you to say, hey, it needs to get replaced, but just point out a couple of things like, I can see a couple of issues with the roof. The home inspector is going to do a further evaluation. So when you're kind of pointing these things out, always followed up by the home inspector is going to take a further look during the inspection.
Right.
And then he's going to let us know the course of action that we need to take. So you're not taking ownership,
right,
but you're pointing things out in a very friendly evaluation. What you don't want to do is, that roof's old. Home inspectors could tell you that we're going to need to replace it. No, we need to cut back up. You've kind of overstepped.
So also, don't ever make a statement like that.
You don't,
just kind of notice it.
Just notice. Just point it out, as a conversation. Like, hey, I see that the roof has a couple of things. Or let's walk around the house. Do we see wood rot up underneath it at the windows or the door frame areas? How does the deck look? Let's point those couple of things out. A big one also, from a new agent kind of standpoint, is look at how the house grades, or not the house. How does the yard grade towards the house? Like, what you want to do is you want to make sure the water goes away from the foundation. So sometimes water will be running towards, and if you see it, then it should kind of trigger maybe there's water. It's on the crawl space. Maybe there's some water we need to kind of take a look at. Let's open up that crawl space door.
Right.
So, I always kind of recommend, I joke with agents. I'm like, you don't have to get in the crawl space.
Right.
But open the door. Yeah. Maybe knock on it, in case a critter's in there, you kind of startle them and stuff like that.
Hey, coming to check your house.
We've seen a couple of things,
and it's really interesting if a house is on a slope where the slope is going towards the house. That's easy money for an agent to go in and walk around the outside to show that they know what they're looking for and point out things. Not that they're always going to find something, but it's easy money for you. You just go and do it, and that will show that client that you have some knowledge about.
And what it does, and it shows the worth. Let's go from an agent kind of standpoint. Is when you're showing a house, okay, and you're walking around and you're kind of pointing out these visible things that you can see. You don't need to be an inspector, but you're pointing out like, hey, the roof, or there's some water here, or the crawl space is damp, or may have some humidity issues. When the home inspector comes in and reiterates, then from a client standpoint, then it kind of sees, wow, my agent is awesome. They're going above and beyond. This is why we hired them. This is why we sat there in expertise, and it just brings value. Yeah. And not only does it bring value for today's transaction, it brings value in tomorrow's, their friends, their family. And that's what we do from a home inspection standpoint. So we come in and we're telling and showing all these things. It's not about always inspection today. We're going to do fantastic. We do 110%, but we want to sit there and for you to talk about it, you know, with your family and friends. Right.
One quick thing, because we've been talking a storm now. So the roof situation. I know that you are doing drones that go over the roof and check the shingles and things like that. Is there anything that you're going to be adding to the home inspection for HouseMasters that may benefit our clients in the future?
So what we're trying to do, so we do, like I said, we help doing drones to assist with the roofs. We also do thermal imaging with all home inspections. You know, this is going to help us look for any kinds of water, possible water leaking inside the walls, the ceilings that you're not always going to catch with a visible eye. One thing that's kind of like we've talked about a little bit about, it's not back burner, but is as far as from a HouseMaster, Neighborly is our parent company. Okay, that they own 25 different home service businesses, franchises across the country. There's about 20 something in our area. Wow. Now, one of the big things that from us standpoint, from the client standpoint, is when you get the report, what do we do with this report? Right. Okay. So now we have to kind of monetize. And a lot of times we bring a monetary value and people use it for negotiating tactics. Okay. Now, it's hard to come in. There's other companies national that will give you an average. Right. But what we're trying to do is take the data from all of our other franchise, Mr. Handyman, Mr. Rooter, because they have estimate and AI estimate tools that they can go really exact. Right. Can we pull our information in?
That would be great.
And then get you more of an accurate local quote. Right.
That would be fantastic.
That's the big, I've talked about it with our president, like she's talked about with the higher ups and of course with corporate.
So we're going to hold you to that in the next 6 months.
We're trying. 6 months is a hard one. Corporate moves like snail speed. But that's what we want to do. Like, cause
that would be great.
It's because what it does, it helps out the client, it helps out the agent, it helps.
And it's a one-stop shop.
That's what we try to do.
Well, I want to thank you for coming and telling us more in-depth information about inspections and HouseMasters. And it's been a great conversation. And if you're ever in the neighborhood, please stop by again.
Hey, I always appreciate everything, Derrick.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you for joining us. Please send us your suggestions, follow us, like us, catch us on the next episode. This is the DASHcast podcast.